Welcome to Smashing PBs, brought to you by 40 Thieves Nut Butters, New Zealand's best peanut butter for fueling everyday and epic adventures. I'm your host, Shyr Godfrey. Join me for inspiring conversations with Kiwis who push boundaries, do things differently, and smash their personal bests. In this episode, I'm talking to Richie Hardcore. A former Muay Thai champion, Richie is known for tackling big topics like masculinity, consent, and violence prevention. With a master's in sociology and as a white ribbon ambassador, he has an incredible ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Hey Richie, thank you so much for coming along to the Smashing PBs podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. What did your day look like before you got here?
My day looked like I was at my gym teaching Muay Thai.
Cool.
I train a few kids in like alternative education and then have some private clients.
Wow. Yeah. So it's very busy.
Yeah, it's pretty busy. Life's pretty busy. I also did an interview with Radio New Zealand earlier this morning.
Wow, far out.
Yeah, so it's been a fun day.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for making the time. I think you've got so much to give on the topic of smashing PBs. For us, what that means is on this podcast, I guess the idea around trying to strive to be your personal best, what that looks like on a day-to-day basis, or is it the bigger goals? Everyone's different. Everyone brings different things to the show, but I'm really excited for your take.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very humbled.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, Muay Thai, we've mentioned that word a couple of times. That's actually where I want to start with you. So you've been training in martial arts from a young age, and then you became a Muay Thai champion. What drew you to that sport?
Yeah, so I started martial arts when I was 13 years old. Okay. I did a Korean martial art called Taekwondo, freestyle Taekwondo.
Yes. Cool.
At like the local community hall. My dad took me up there and said to the instructor, because I asked my father how we started.
Yep.
My son started struggling with his self-esteem, blah, 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 blah. Do you reckon you'd help my boy out? And
go dad.
Yeah. It's public knowledge. My dad struggled with, alcoholism and mental health himself. So I had a pretty dysfunctional childhood. And I just really fell in love with martial arts from day dot. It was the first thing that I really felt passionate about.
Interesting.
I really liked the discipline and the structure and the hard work that I got out of training and then competing. Like I had my first semi-contact.
Was this still Taekwondo?
Yeah, tournament when I was 13 years old. I was like, oh, cool, I get to fight people and not get in trouble.
Wow. That is actually wild. It is a wild concept that it's such a respected sport and yet you are still fighting.
Yeah, well, I think there is, some of us do have that energy, and where do you put that, and you can put that in places that are constructive or destructive.
Interesting.
And I think martial arts gives us a space to hone all of that energy and that aggression and the interest and the anger and unresolved issues into something that builds us better rather than something that breaks us, right?
Yeah.
And, so many people, but men in particular, do struggle with a whole range of issues. And how's that manifest? Street violence, family violence, drugs and alcohol, car accidents, right?
Wow.
So how do we give people something to put their energy into?
Yeah.
So for me, it was fighting, and then it gave me and then I started doing Muay Thai when I was 17. There's a older guy at high school, and he's like, what you're doing is weak, you should come to my gym. And I was like, I thought it was pretty cool. And then I went to his Muay Thai gym, Balmoral Liga, which is a really famous gym. And I was like, oh, whoa,
it's a whole different level.
A whole different level of physicality and technique, and I just loved it again. I fell in love with it all over. And
did you then you left, I guess you finished up with Taekwondo then, you moved on to Muay Thai?
So I think I'd do this is going back, but I'd do Taekwondo a couple of days a week and then Muay Thai a couple of days a week, and then just moved straight into Muay Thai and had my first Thai boxing fight when I was 18. Yes. I was still in high school. And then, we just go on to chip away at it for the next 20 years or so.
That's amazing. It's quite incredible how a lot of people's stories start with, I went to this place, or someone said this thing, or something happened, and then it just changed the direction of your life. So it's quite incredible how, walking into this gym, this Taekwondo gym, it just resonated with you, and that became the direction that you continue to take, and even to this day. How incredible.
Yeah, it was cool. I love working with young people because I got so many benefits out of a lifetime in the sport.
Yeah.
Not just physical ones, but it taught me like discipline and structure and hard work and goal setting. And
I want to hear about all of those.
Yeah. Well, and eventually, like, I took all of that to like academia and went to university. Like, I mucked around in high school.
Yep.
But I got tired of working in jobs that weren't fulfilling in my early 20s and went back to study. And I basically took the approach that made me successful at combat sports to study.
Wow.
And that opened new doors, you know, and new challenges, but it's a similar approach.
That's so interesting. Yeah, you almost, like, I love the idea that you can train at something in one part of your life and then take those learnings and apply them to a totally different part of your life, but so much of it transfers across. Tell me about Muay Thai. So I'm going to put my hand up and say, I don't know that much about it, to be honest. So give me a bit of for someone who doesn't really know much about the sport. Tell me about
cool. So Muay Thai is the traditional fighting art of Thailand.
Okay.
And it's, hundreds of years old. It started out like most martial arts as like an actual battlefield art, and then it's evolved into a sport, right?
Okay.
So historically people would fight with like bound rope hands and stuff, and that's evolved into like gloves, like proper gloves, and it's evolved to have rules, regulations, safety checks, and it's become like a global professional sport. In Thailand, it is driven by poverty. Children as young as 5 are fighting full Muay Thai. So Muay Thai is a sport where you're allowed to punch, kick, knee and elbow. And the goal is to obviously knock the person unconscious or beat them on points. Just like boxing or MMA, right? It's all standing up. You're not allowed to hit on the ground, but you're allowed to like catch people's legs or sweep them up and unbalance them. And if they're on the ground, you have to stop striking them, right? So kids get sent in Thailand from, say, the rural village where they might live to what's called a Kai Muay, like a boxing training camp. And they will live like, 5, 6, 7, 8 to a room, wake up, go running, do Muay Thai, rest in the day, do Muay Thai again in the afternoon. So in the morning you'll run a longer run because it's cooler. In the afternoon you do a shorter run. And then you do pad work, bag work, sparring, clinch work, lifting weights, and it's evolved over time. Like a lot more Western sports science is informing how people train now, but the blueprint is still pretty similar. So I think I would have been to train in Thailand 9 or 10 times.
Wow.
For anywhere from
do you find that it's very different from training here, or very similar?
I think there's similarities in the technique. It just, because you're over there, you've got nothing else to do, you get to focus on it, right? Like when I would fight, I would train about 10 to 12 times a week.
Whoa.
And over here you have
There isn't even that many days.
Well, you have to do it twice a day, right? So you wake up in the morning, do your cardio, whatever it is, and then you have to go to work or you have to go to study, and then you go back to the gym in the evening. In Thailand, you don't have to worry about that.
So you just do it for hours.
You just do it in the morning, sleep all day, and then training in the afternoon, right? So it becomes this sort of permanent focus. And over there everyone's doing it to make money. So
how do they make money? By winning fights?
By fighting, and so if you build a reputation, you go from small shows to bigger shows to bigger shows. If you're winning titles and blah blah blah, then your purses go up, right?
I see.
I mean, it's only a very small percent of people who make good money out of Muay Thai in particular. It's probably the lowest paying of all the combat sports, which I think is crazy because I think it's the most exciting one. You're right. I think Muay Thai is way more exciting than all the other ones. Although I do love boxing and MMA.
Is it more? Is it the diversity of Muay Thai? There's so many different elements to the way you can fight.
I like the culture of it. Like, I don't like the Western influence in Muay Thai with like having to hype fights and sell fights with like trash talk and all of that. I see. In Muay Thai, people like give each other a hug before they fight and give each other a hug after they fight, right?
Yeah, that's
I like the Eastern traditionalism in Muay Thai. People do what's called the Ram Muay. It's like a dance at the start of the fight which warms your body up. But there's a lot of like Buddhist traditions that are in Muay Thai that are about acknowledging like your gym and your family and your teachers, and again,
the respect side.
The respect side of that, and I think that at its best, it transfers into other elements of your life, right? And so in Thailand, historically, there's no like amateur or professional. Everyone just fights 5 3-minute rounds with a 2-minute rest. But in the West, we have like amateurs, pros, and novices. So in New Zealand, like an amateur fighter would fight 3 2-minute rounds with a 1 minute rest, probably not with elbows at the start as well. And then if you keep going, then you start fighting like professionally 5x3s or whatever and make a bit of coin for it too.
So, look, there's so many details, and it's quite incredible how fighting can be turned into so structured. There's specific ways to do it. There are specific rules. Are the rules to keep people like less injured?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it is dangerous. I'd be a liar. I've had my skull fractured fighting, and had been knocked out and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, like boxing, you have like an 8 count. If someone gets knocked down, the referee's job is to keep you safe, and you count to 8 to see if you continue, all this sort of stuff, right? There's a sport from Burma called Lethawai where it's just a 10-minute round or whatever, and you have to fight till someone gets knocked out. Yeah, really dangerous. Like the headbutt, there's you either win or you draw. There's no win by knockout or draw, right? Wow. So sports like Lethawai are a lot less safe, or there's this resurgence of like BKFC, like bare knuckle boxing, which I don't particularly enjoy, because people's are fighting with just wraps and getting their faces mashed up. Yeah. And breaking their hands. So Muay Thai has the gloves? Muay Thai has the gloves.
So does that make it a softer punch?
Softer punch, right? So a glove's like 8 or 10 ounces of like weight.
I see.
So that's like padded. Yeah. But there's been this real move since the advent of mixed martial arts to move Muay Thai into 4-ounce gloves, which is a small glove.
Interesting.
Which changes the nature of the sport. It's exciting. Yeah. But it takes some of the, I guess I would say, the beauty and the tradition of all the different elements of it, and now everyone just looks to punch and get a quick knockout.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a burning question. So
fire away.
Yeah. Okay. So I find it really interesting that the whole purpose of martial arts is fighting, but then at the same time you advocate for no violence. I mean, you said at the beginning that you channel your energy, or you channel that. Yeah, I guess energy into this particular structured fighting, so that you don't do it in the wrong way. Would you say that it's because the two people have both accepted and agreed to fight one another, and that's the safety in it? I mean, you're still fighting.
I think it's consent, right? Like everyone agrees to be there and fight under particular rules, regulations, with a mutual respect and an agreement.
And is there an agreement then, you learn all these skills, is there an agreement that you can't take it elsewhere?
Yeah, well, that's like, look, some people who do Muay Thai, idiots, and they won't take the life-changing elements of it and apply it to all spheres of their life. Yeah. But the best of us do, or the majority of us do, right? Whether it's kickboxing or boxing, right? I think having been around like a lot of street violence, and now I work with people who are in the justice system, doing rehabilitative work. Yeah. A lot of street violence, a lot of random violence comes from unhealed emotional, psychological wounds, and it comes from a real insecurity, and it comes from a lot of posturing and a lot of reactivity, people who can't control themselves and their emotions, and also like this desire to be seen as tough, right?
I see.
Like,
so what's stopping like those guys like from going and learning?
Nothing stopping them.
And the fighting techniques, but using it in the wrong places.
Well, I think when you know you're tough, you don't have to show you're tough, right? Like,
that's cool. I like that.
When you actually in the gym, working really hard, getting humbled regularly. Yeah. Because I have like big, tough, full gang tattoos on their face, and they look like tough scary guys. Dudes, right? Yeah. But like to watch them do Muay Thai, I'm like, oh, you're rubbish. Like you actually don't have any technical ability at fighting. Yeah. And
say that again. So you're tough. No, you're tough.
You don't need to show you're tough.
You don't need to show you're tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
nice. So it comes from insecurities.
It comes from insecurity. Yeah. When I was young and I'm middle aged now, right? Like you go out and some guy's like, what are you looking at, right? Yeah. You have a choice there, right? I have to like posture and throw down and like stand up to you and lean into like my unhealthy masculinity. Yeah. Or I'm like, nothing, bro. It's all good, Yeah. And why would you risk breaking your hands and smashing your face up and getting arrested or potentially killing someone? For what? Yeah.
Just to show you were tough.
To show you were tough. When you already know you're tough. Yeah. If you're in the gym all the time, training with like professional athletes, champions, you already know what you're capable of, and you have a better understanding of how easy it is to hurt someone else. Wow. And I think it diffuses a lot of that impetus to violence, you know?
That's so interesting. Yeah.
And it's not just martial arts. If you're a deeply wounded person, you can't just come to the gym by yourself and necessarily, oh, boom, I'm healed. But I think it is and I've seen this again and again and again over 30 years, it is an element that helps a lot of people change their lives for the better.
I mean, I agree with it completely. The idea that pushing yourself physically can help your mental health. For me, it's a very small scale of what you do, but I run a couple of times a week.
Yes.
As long as I get at the moment, my life is very busy. I've got 3 little girls. As long as I get 3, that's my 3 in the bank every week.
One for each kid.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, 1 for each kid. Nice. 3 in the bank. I know that I've done what I need to keep my mental health, as I like it, every week, and it resets again on Monday. You got to do another 3.
I'm the same.
But it's quite fascinating how if you skip it in the beginning of the week and you start to feel yourself getting down in the dumps, and then you're like, oh, this is hard, and this is this, and then you go, I need to go for a run. I need to get that, and you never want to go. You never feel like going, but because physically it's challenging, but then the effect mentally is just profound. So I guess what you're saying is, people that do prioritize their physical health, from the gym to martial arts, to Muay Thai specifically, they're getting all their energy out and all their frustrations out in a physical way, so they can be more calm mentally.
Yeah, well, it's not just your opinion. Yeah. Like what you're talking about is well researched, right?
Exactly.
Like the efficacy for good mental health. From mild to moderate exercise, from mild to moderate depressive symptoms is really well established.
Wow.
It's just as effective as an SSRI for some people, right? Not to say that there's no space for medication, but for a lot of people, poor mental health is shaped by lifestyle, at least in part, right? And so running, yoga, Pilates, Muay Thai, kickboxing, weightlifting, crumping, whatever it is, all these things are great. Human beings are designed to move. And our modern society is so at odds with how we're actually designed to live, right?
Yeah, you're so right.
We're meant to be in connection with 150 people in a village, but we've all got tens of thousands of people on social media that we're meant to have meaningful connections with. That's just not possible, right?
Exactly.
We're sedentary, we overly process foods. Many people grow up with violence or exposure to violence or alcohol addiction or drug addiction, right? All these sorts of things impact our mental well-being, right? Cost of living, all these structural things, sitting in traffic is bad for you,
Yeah.
So simple things that we can put into all of our lifestyles is mindful movement, right? And I always say you don't have to be good at it for it to be good for you.
Exactly.
Right? Some people don't want to start because they're oh, I'm a bit Gumby or whatever.
Yeah.
But just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? If, like you said, you never regret going for a run.
No, you never do. You never go, oh, I wish I didn't go today.
I feel so great. What a bummer, I should have stayed on the couch scrolling some more. 100%. That would have really cheered me up.
What do you think, though? Why do you think, then, if we all know it's good for us, why is it so hard?
Well, I'm fortunate in that I started really young. Yeah. So
it's just a part of your life.
It's just part of my life.
But then, do you have people that come to you and go, I don't know how to get started?
Yeah, and as a personal trainer, that's the thing. So
exactly. As a personal trainer, you must see a lot of people who struggle with the discipline and the motivation.
Yeah, I think I once read discipline was doing what you have to do even when you don't want to, right?
Yeah, I love that.
And I got this tattoo on my ankle. It says dedication to discipline.
Nice.
When I was 21 or something.
It still fits.
It's faded and it's pretty, I don't know, the style's pretty outdated now, but you do need to have a bit of discipline. Yeah. Not to say that you have to be a Marine.
No.
But you can't just go with the winds of life and expect life to feel good all the time.
Yes.
Life's not actually about feeling good all the time. Yeah. Often life is really difficult.
Yeah.
Everyone we love is going to die at some stage. Yeah. We're all going to get old. We're all going to lose people. We're all going to lose things. That,
You're keeping it real, Richie.
Well, it's true though.
It is true. It is true.
We're going to all suffer.
Yeah.
And you need to put things into your life that allow you to have some resiliency.
That's so true.
And physical training is one of those things. It's not the only thing.
Not,
You can't just be hoorah, I'm a Marine, I'm going to go David Goggins it.
Yeah.
You need to know a time to do that, but you also need a time to cry and share your feelings with someone that you trust, or talk to your partner, or rest as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all always on.
We're always on.
We wake up, smash a coffee,
Yeah,
you know, on the scroll, sitting in traffic, off to an office job that perhaps we don't love, you know, whatever it is.
Even nowadays, I feel like you watch TV and you're like scrolling at the same time and eating and drinking if maybe. It's like 5 things all happening at once.
I saw this great meme. It was like a dude with like 2 laptops, TV and a thing. He's like, I've got 7 screens so I don't have to even feel a feeling, you know?
That's
but it's
so
true though, right?
Yeah.
Like I was listening to some hip hop song on the way here and it was like really... you know, historically we've talked about alcohol and drugs as a way of escaping ourselves, right? But here's like, I got my laptop screen to not, I can't remember the rap, but...
How cool that he's like modernized
he's modernized it, because it's a thing.
Like,
you can disassociate and get sucked into that. And then there's like huge corporations that have used
billions of dollars.
Who have made some of the smartest people in the world want you to be online all the time, right?
100%.
And so when you say, why is it so hard? I think people get stuck in comfort. Right? People get stuck in comfort. They think they get told that like it's bad to do something that's hard, that pain is something to avoid all the time, that, you know, being cold is you know? And actually, not to sound like a corny like meme, but like growth is outside the comfort zone.
100%.
If you just sit in your little I read a really good book when I ran my first half marathon, and it was, you know, it's like, this is your circle of what you know is possible, right? And then you do something a little bit outside of it, and then suddenly you've got a bigger circle about what you know is possible. And then you do it again, and you do it again, and you keep expanding what you know to be possible. And people don't do that because they're scared of failing, or they're scared of getting made fun of, or they avoid discomfort, right?
Absolutely.
And actually, discomfort is good for us. Like psychologically, emotionally, and physically, so long as it's in stage appropriate ways, right? Like you can't just necessarily jump from the couch to a marathon.
Absolutely.
Right? Or from, you know, you don't want to overstep because then there's a risk of like some sort of, you know, harm, whether it's a physical risk or an emotional risk. But we do need to continue to keep pushing ourselves lest we get miserable.
Man, that's so good. That is, you just like, I'm just like nodding. I'm like, how do you nod more? I love it. It's true. No, what you're saying, it's so true. And I mean, it just makes you question your own. You like, we can always keep improving. So you can like look at what's no longer serving, what part of your life isn't helping you anymore, and shift that energy or that focus into something that is hard and will actually grow those circles.
Yeah, totally. And like, you know, that changes as we get older.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not going to run as fast when I'm 55 as when I'm 45, 35. And you can actually bum yourself out if you keep comparing yourself to like the youngest version of yourself. But to maintain your physical health and your movement is essential, whilst, like you say, you grow in other areas of your life. How do I become a better husband or wife or father or mentor or business person? Or how do I, you know, I know I'm good at this physical stuff. Okay, how do I develop a spiritual practice, you know? Like we should always endeavor to like learn more and be more because, you know, you don't want to die having spent most of your life on the couch scrolling with Netflix on.
You're so right. I had this like a little moment. I've got, as I mentioned, I've got 3 kids. I've got a 6-year-old and 2 4-year-olds. One of the 4-year-olds, twins.
Hectic.
One of them was like yesterday, it was quite funny, just a moment that just popped into my head, but she was like, Mum, what comes after Wednesday? And I was like, Thursday. She's like, and then Friday? I'm like, yeah. She goes, in Saturday? And I'm like, yeah. And then Sunday? Anyway, she's learning the days of the week, right? And she's like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And she goes, and then it keeps, I go, then it goes back to Monday again. She goes, and then it goes back all the way to Sunday. I'm like, yep, over and over. And she goes, all the way until you die. And I was like, damn girl, like you've figured it out already. Like you're 4 years old. But it was just like this moment. I looked at her, a little like innocent face, and it wasn't emotional. It was just like, fact. She was like, and I was like, whew, like that stuff is quite deep. Like she, you know, like sometimes kids just say things like, and we're like, oh, straight away, oh, we don't want to talk about that. But actually, she kind of had like accepted this understanding that life does repeat. And like, I was like, what? Yeah. And what can we take from it really? Like, okay, well, if we know that it just repeats, like what do we need to insert into those weeks to make sure that they're not just repetitive, they're actually fulfilling and meaningful.
Yeah, and that's awesome. There's this Latin phrase, memento mori, which is like be mindful of death or be mindful of your death. Which probably sounds macabre. Because I actually do fear death.
Particularly, I mean, surely we all do.
Particularly since I had kids. You know, like
you don't want to be
yeah, I
don't want
became
to be
a
alone
father
without
older,
you.
and
Yeah.
I worry about not being there to look after
Yeah,
them as they get older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and like to miss out on their company is the big
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
I'd had kids younger, I'm like, I would have got 40, 50 years of my kids.
You've got such a baby face. You've got a very long time. You're not going to miss anything. Don't worry, Richie.
Hopefully I get a good 40 years
Yeah,
more with
absolutely.
them, right? I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I think if we can be mindful that we are all going to die, it can help us focus on what's important in life.
Yeah.
You know, like I've wasted a lot of time on social media.
Yeah.
I've wasted a lot of time, like I went through a fair bit of depression in my 30s, you know, like, and how do you distill down what's important and what's not important? I think being mindful of our mortality can help us refocus, you know?
It's interesting though, because on one hand, you know, you say you wasted time, but that could have actually shaped who you are today. Like sometimes, like those dark moments or those harder times are actually, like maybe if you didn't go through them, you wouldn't live such an authentic life right now. And you wouldn't be, I mean, you're such an advocate for mental health and positive masculinity and so many things. Perhaps it's having those experiences yourself that was able to bring you here.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I've definitely tried to learn from both my own mistakes and the shitty things I've done that have hurt myself or other people, or the shitty things I've experienced, to try and find some sort of like helpful lesson in it, right? You can always
have to, otherwise you stay down in the dumps, like instead of feeling it, you're looking back. What do they say? Like
you can ruminate.
Yeah, ruminate. That's the one.
You can use your experiences to make you better, not better.
Yeah.
I know I'm full of corny catchphrases. I
love your phrases. I'm all about
it. I'm very corny, but it is true, right? Like you can get better or you can get better.
Yeah.
This sucked. This happened to me. Blah 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 blah. Well, what's the learning in that? And you know, to extend the analogy, when you watch the tape of a fight, you see what works and what didn't work, what you did, you know, well and what you didn't do well, and where the gaps in your skill set are. Well, you can do that with all your things in life, you know.
And like, you can't do it when you're in it. When you're in the fight, you don't know that you're doing it. It's only afterwards that you can look back and go, wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like life can only be understood backwards and live forwards. You know, like you do need to take a pause to reflect on what's happened and take some good stuff from it. But you can't live there. You got to live in the present, or you'll drive yourself crazy.
That's so true.
Smashing PBs is brought to you by 40 Thieves, award-winning producers of New Zealand's tastiest peanut butter, almond butter and superfood butters. Every spoonful is packed with protein, healthy fats and all the goodness you need for fueling everyday and epic adventures. Grab your next jar at your local Woolworths, New World, Pack and Save and the Warehouse supermarkets and start smashing your personal bests.
Yeah, you're quite a vocal advocate for many different causes. How did you fall into now public speaking about it? I know you've been on you've been on TEDx. Is that right? You're a TEDx speaker.
Yeah, I never talk about that because it's like the worst public talk I ever did.
Is it? Oh,
yeah,
we all have to have one. What? Okay.
Yeah, it was funny. Like the night before, I'd given this talk to like some ASB business dinner and had like the whole room crying.
Yes.
And it was like a really good talk, just like this unscripted.
Everyone felt emotion.
Yeah. I was talking about like mental health and blah blah blah. And the next day, I kind of like choked. I did this like rubbish talk and partly I think because I lost sight of the fact that you don't have to be a public speaker, you just have to be yourself, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, learning experience took the negatives from that and just kept going.
Okay. What other public speaking have you done? Tell me, actually take me through your journey of public speaking. How did it start?
It started with a talk. This is going back a long time, so if you look it up, it's unpolished, but it was the very first one was done for, I think, Creative Mornings.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
which was like
40 Thieves sponsors them. So
oh, right. Cool. Yeah, so it was a breakfast talk series, I think, that was founded in perhaps New York, and then they give you a theme, goes around globally.
Yes.
Some old colleagues and friends at the time invited me to come and talk about the concept of being a rebel.
Okay.
And so I talked about being a rebel is actually being like mindful, and being countercultural is actually like not doing drugs and not doing alcohol and not being sexist and not consuming, you know, what everyone else is doing, right? Like it's going against the flow.
Yeah, against the grain.
Yeah, going against the grain. Because I grew up in like the punk rock, hardcore culture.
Yeah, I have questions about that after.
Yeah, and that really informed who I am and how I live.
Okay.
And so that I did this like really earnest talk, and people really liked it.
Nice.
And then at the same time, you know, I would talk about like my emerging understandings around men's violence towards women and the role pornography plays in culture, and discuss these things online a lot.
Yes.
And then the Ministry of Social Development here in Aotearoa reached out and asked me to be the face of this poster campaign they're doing about encouraging what we call bystander intervention.
Say that again, biased.
Bystander intervention.
Okay.
So say you're aware that someone might be at risk of harm.
Yes.
How do you get involved, right? How do you, oh, hey, you're right there, or
Yeah.
do you know this guy, or perhaps you know someone's been harmed, or I'm really sorry to hear about what's happened to you. How do we go, and what help can I provide you, or what services would you need access with, or whatever it might be, right? You know, the whole like see something, say something, rather than just the bystander effect, which is like, oh, someone else is going to do it, and turning away,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and at the same time, I think this is like 2012, 2013, like White Ribbon New Zealand asked me to be an ambassador and then a board member, and I started discussing my emerging understandings around how do we stop men's violence towards women. And that's evolved into someone, I don't know, who was like, would you come talk at my school around this?
Yes.
And then I just did like some selfie on Facebook in like, I don't know, the mid 2010s, but when the algorithm was a lot more virulent than it is now. Now you've got to like beg for like one like, but everything would, a lot of people would pick it up.
Yeah.
And then, hey, will you come to my school? Will you come to my school? Blah, 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 blah.
That's so cool. It happens so organically.
It's all really organically.
Wow.
Like I never planned on being a public speaker.
Yes.
I just learnt some stuff and then discussed it, and have learnt on the job. Like how I do the work now is not how I did the work back then.
Yeah.
How I talk about masculinity or gender violence or any of these sorts of things is much better now.
Yes.
It's always more relatable. I keep up to date with the research.
Okay.
I went back and did my master's degree in 2020 to
Congratulations.
oh, thank you. I appreciate it. To like further deepen my knowledge of my work area.
What did you discover that actually you were super knowledgeable already? Like, did it kind of just go
to me? Yo, thanks. I appreciate it.
I mean, it's quite impressive stuff.
Was I super knowledgeable? No, not really. I knew some stuff, but when you have like an organic professional education, like you're learning on the job, or you're learning through reading, you know, because I did my undergrad and then I did my honours degree, and you learn a skill set on how to read the literature.
Yes.
But
you were able to take your on the job learnings and then read
deepen the knowledge.
the theory. You
get
put
that
the theory next to it.
Wrap it. And I think that's why my work is good, because I've got my own personal story, and then I've got like professional experience, and then I've got like an academic underpinning of all of that.
It's quite interesting that a lot of people go the other way. They'll do their like training, and then they'll look for like the experience. But you've gone the other way. You had so much experience. You were already doing what you wanted to do. And then you actually use the learning to try and support that. And I guess a lot of people, I keep hearing young people saying like, oh, university was such a waste. But it's because they probably didn't exactly know what they wanted to do. So they went in and they learned something, and then when they got into the real world, it wasn't relevant. Whereas you've gone the complete opposite. You did what you wanted to do, and you used the learning to support you and better you. Yeah,
I quite explicitly I went to university, I think, when I was 26 or 27 for the first, maybe for the second time. I did like a year of a Bachelor of Education. I thought to be a teacher.
Okay.
Decided it wasn't for me. Went and worked, travelled, fought, and then got sick of working dead-end sort of jobs. Yeah. In my mid-20s, I was living in Melbourne. Okay. Moved back to New Zealand, went to uni, and I loved it. Yeah. Because I'd worked so many jobs that I was like, these jobs suck. Yeah. Like, is this me for the rest of my life?
What kind of jobs?
I mean, no disrespect to anyone. Like, honourable work is like everyone's got to pay the bills. True. I'm not trying to like diminish anyone.
Yeah, but just wasn't for you.
Me,
wasn't for you.
Like, just like, you know, warehousing, retail, packing boxes, using a forklift. Like,
you had more to give.
I felt it, and like, those are really like bro culture sort of spaces, and I just would be like, what are you talking about? Like, it wouldn't fit with who I was.
I see.
And going to university wasn't in order to get a job. Yeah. I actually was really interested. I'd been to Mexico in like 2004, and I'd experienced like really global south, like quote unquote third world poverty for the first time back then, and really wanted to understand why it was that way.
I see.
You know, I really wanted to understand why little kids were like begging for food, and like, what is it about Latin America that it is the way that it is? Yeah. And I'd been to this place in Mexico called Chiapas, where there'd been like a sorry to go off topic, but like Chiapas was where there'd been a revolution by like an indigenous peasant army called the Zapatistas.
Yeah.
And they really kind of inspired me back then. Like I really, in my early 20s, had all these sort of like romanticized ideas about like overthrowing the system.
Wow.
And like changing society like in a grand scale.
Kind of goes back to your punk rock scene.
100%. 100%.
Found, like,
sorry to yell into the microphone, like, yes, it does go, like, all these tattoos, right?
But
it's all
found
about
the
that
punk
stuff.
rockers of Mexico.
Well, they're not punk rock, but like they were genuinely they did an armed overthrow of this town called San Cruz de las Casas, and I was really fascinated by it.
It's when I guess rebels actually rebelling for a reason.
For an actual,
Yeah,
exactly. Like the poverty in Mexico is like endemic, right? And there's this, and you know, like any like First Nations peoples, like the indigenous people of Mexico, like live shorter lives, you know, like all sorts of histories of like Spanish colonialism, right? But anyway, I wanted to understand why that was. Ended up at uni for like a long time, and I did my honors, and then I did my masters eventually, and it gives you like a lens to look at the world, and it's really transferable, right? Like we talked about Muay Thai giving you skills that are transferable for other things.
Yes.
I think like study can as well.
Absolutely.
You can look at like the experience of New Zealand with a similar sort of skill set to, I guess, try and understand the why behind what it is.
Yes.
And that for me is helpful.
Wow, that's great. I love that. I think I agree with you on, I think with university, even if you don't end up going down that route or any type of education, then you still learnt about discipline. I think discipline is something that you can only learn by doing.
But yeah, totally.
So, and it's not, you can't learn about discipline. You literally have to do a particular project or try and get to an end goal and complete it. That's the only way to learn discipline, and discipline is such a key part of our lives. So if it's not university, it's waking up and going to Muay Thai training 12 times a week. But it's just finding that thing that teaches you discipline, and unfortunately you can't read about it. You just have to do something.
It's a practice.
Yeah, it's
you
practice.
said, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't be bothered, or how do I start?
Yeah.
It's a practice.
It's a practice,
You know, like the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
And I guess starting small
small
steps.
Like smart goals.
Yes, absolutely.
Like
stuff you can achieve.
Yeah, stuff you can actually achieve and measure it, and then repeat it, and then extend it.
Yeah.
What I've had to learn is like to soften. Like I've been a pretty rigid person. Because that's been really like protective in my life, like having a hardcore routine.
Yes.
And as I've gotten older and
got kids,
like I've had to learn to like relax a little bit with that.
Yeah. To
let like love in and connection in and make time for people,
Wow.
Because I guess I can be quite solitary. So it's like, how do you, not to say that I've never had great friends. I do. I've got awesome homies. But I'm also okay with my own company.
Yes.
So it is important, I think, to maintain your connections and not let your rigidity, as this is something I've learned, become a barrier, right?
Yeah.
Like have your blueprint of what you'd like to do in a week or month. Yeah. But then allow for a little flexibility.
Yeah, and be okay with it.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's so important because putting in the structure and everything is really, it's really key to make sure you achieve your goals. But that soft stuff that you're talking about, that's what keeps you human as well.
Yeah, totally.
If you're ticking every single box and achieving every single thing, then what you're actually saying no to something else. You're saying no to time with your friends or time with your family, or really like that spontaneity that can sometimes come about. So I'm all about the 80-20 rule. Like you got to have the structure 80% of the time and eat well 80% of the time. But I mean, I love a pizza. I
love a gelato.
You got to enjoy that stuff. I mean, imagine if you die and you were like, I never ate a pizza, but look at my rig. Like,
That's how I used to be, dude. I was like, when I was an athlete, I mean, this is going back a long time. And like, it was before, like, when I say athlete, it was like
were an athlete.
Before the time of like UFC and all these sorts of things, right? Like the level now compared to when, I think was. But the level, what I'm trying to say is like the level of like combat sports now is so much higher than when I was coming up. But I was really like, I'm not going to eat that. Like I got it quite body dysmorphic, like really like hyper strict around everything I put into my body. Yeah. And you have to be mindful of that too, right?
I think it's like a seesaw. Like often some people lack any of that structure, and some people like too much of that structure,
yeah.
and it's just finding that balance. But you got to know your limits. You have to almost have gone through that really strict phase to go, I actually don't want to live my life like that anymore. But I'm glad I did it, because now I know like where the border is. Like I've hit I know that I can go to that extreme, but I don't want it.
That's like the Buddha's journey, you know?
What's that? No.
Have you read Siddhartha?
No.
There's a book by Hermann Hesse called Siddhartha. Siddhartha's like the first Buddha, right?
Okay.
Like he's a prince in India.
Wow.
And then, he's like opulence, man, like all the wealth.
Yeah.
Forgive me if you're like a practicing Buddhist and I butcher this, but
okay.
and then his parents protected him from suffering. They protected him from all the poverty, disease, despair of life outside the castle.
Okay.
For whatever reason, he makes his way out of the castle, and he's like confronted with like the smells and the death and the suffering, and he went on this journey and became like an ascetic. Like he was really self-denying, lived on a grain of rice, just lived in meditation. Extreme, right?
Yeah.
So it's opulence and softness to extreme hardness, and then I don't know, he transcends somewhere along the line and finds like nirvana and comes back to like being the Buddha, and he finds it's like the middle passage.
Yeah, I guess it's like yin and yang. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
You can't be all hard or all soft. It's actually in the middle.
And everyone's version is different as well.
Yeah, that's true too.
Back to that personal best concept. Like your version, you might be at your optimal person, like your optimal self if you have mostly structure, or you might be the opposite, and you do better when you have less structure because you've come from a time where you were really structured. So I think it's what's so cool about the idea of a personal best, is that it doesn't compare to everybody around you. You can take tips and knowledge, take little parts like learnings from everybody around you, but you got to like walk your own path.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. I want to hear about you being a champion, a Muay Thai champion. What does that look like? What does that mean?
I don't know.
You fought some people.
Yeah, I fought some people. This is going back, dude. Like, I think I won my first national title when I was 22 or something. And then, my goal, when I started, I think my first coach was Lolo Hemuli. And then who's just had a really cool documentary put out about him. And in his gym was a guy called John Conway, who's a really well-known figure in our game. Yeah. And he took me under his wing, and he was like, what do you want to do in the sport? I was like, I want to be a New Zealand champion. And he really took me under his wing and like guided me to win my first title, and then won another title, and then I won another title, and then I think I won a 4-man title. Like you had to fight 2 guys in one night, and then had to fight. Then I won like a South Pacific title. That was a cool story. Like my stepdad had just died the same day, and I was really upset. He died of brain cancer.
Sorry.
It's all good. Everyone dies. But I appreciate it.
Still hard.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, but my stepdad died, and I had to go fight, and I was pretty emotional. And it wasn't.
You still fought.
And it wasn't like the best fight ever, but I scraped a close win in, got my face cut up, and my mum came, and her husband had just died. That was a cool story. I don't think, it's like Bruce Lee says, belts just hold your pants up, and I think that's true. Like, particularly in our sport, like Muay Thai is experiential in that, like, on any given day, the best guy can lose to like an average guy if the average guy has like
the right day.
The right day. You know what I mean?
It's all about what brings you to that exact moment.
And what I like about Muay Thai is like, if you look at like boxing, like once you've had a few losses, you stop being a contender. Whereas in Muay Thai, like the best guys have had like 100 fights, 25 losses, 75 wins, whatever. Losses are just another step in the learning journey. I was fortunate in my era to have fought some of the best local guys around and get some wins over them, and that, I guess, the qualifications that I used to open my own gym and train my own champions now.
Is that gym still open?
Oh yeah. I've been teaching Muay Thai since I was in my 20s and still at university. I'd like teach in the day, run to some lectures, run back, teach at night, do my own training. But when I retired from fighting, I just kept coaching my own team. I've used other people's gyms to operate out of.
Yes.
And then I found my own like really cool space up in Grey Lynn here in Auckland.
Cool.
And
it's a good spot.
Yeah, it is a good spot. Grey Lynn's my community, right?
Yeah.
And found a gym, which is hard to do. I found a really cool, nice landlord, reasonable rates. Yeah, it's cool with having a Muay Thai gym in there. Yeah. He likes the community stuff we do because we work with different charities and like I was saying, and he's really on board with that and giving young people something constructive. And I don't know, some days when I'm having a really great day, it feels really cool to be like, oh, yo, this was me when I was
you see that,
17, and you see this kid like shining. And
awesome. And you're able to change their life
trajectory, give back,
so cool.
We had this young man from Spain fight last weekend, and I'm like, rad, dude. Like he came to New Zealand, trained with us for a while, had a fight, now he's in the South Island. Like, that's cool to be part of someone's life journey, It's just a small part. It's nice. But I look back at like my mentors, and it feels really nice to hopefully play a positive role in someone else's life, and that's what I like about the gym.
That's amazing. So in terms of your time, would you say, so obviously you've got your gym, you train people, Muay Thai, but you're also a personal trainer. And then what about your advocacy work? How does that play into everything?
Right. So I've been speaking in a variety of different settings for a long time now. So I started out just speaking to students, but now I do like professional development. So I spoke to like the New Zealand Secondary Schools Principals Association this year, speaking to New Zealand Secondary Girls School Association at the end of the year. I do PD stuff in like Victoria, Australia, and I love talking to young people, but I also like trying to help
like organizations.
More of like a whole school approach.
That makes sense.
You're talking to communities and parents, and
I think you must, you're probably such a relatable person. Like, people, I guess, expect someone to look a particular way when they come and talk to boards and schools and principals. But you are doing all the right things, and yet you look, you've got your tats. You look cool, like you.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Do you find that?
People get surprised. Like,
that's what I want to ask.
My wife said the other day, she's like, I thought you were like a recovered alcoholic or heroin addict when I first met you. Because of how I live my life. I'm sober and publicly advocate for sobriety and blah blah blah, and talked about my father's alcoholism and blah blah blah. But the way I look, it does have a stereotype to it. I think that's changed. I think like fashion tats are a real thing. Like every kid's got like half a wall of flash on them these days. But people can make those assumptions, especially when you add like combat sports to it. And that can. But I've found it's disarming. Like I get to, I work with like, hardcore. Guys who've done some pretty serious criminal offending, and it's relatable when you adjust your dialect to I don't always speak like this. I speak speak with the audience how the audience speaks.
Interesting.
Not intentionally. It's just like how I grew up. Was kind of rougher.
Yes.
And then I moved into like different spheres of life, and you learn different ways of being, and then you can like adjust,
and then it just makes the people, I think that's, I feel like I do the same. Like,
we all do the same. There's actually a term for it. It's called code switching. Google it.
Okay.
But like,
I guess as long as you know who you really are, and
as long as you know who you are and you're not being fake. My whole thing is about just being myself, and then you can adjust your register accordingly, right? And so relatability is important when you're delivering any sort of like message, which is designed to maybe encourage people to think differently, look differently, ask questions. So whether I'm talking with people in a recovery program, or I'm talking to school parents, like you can find the right tone. There have been times that I've mucked it up earlier in my career, but now I think I've got a good register of who I'm talking with and how to talk with them.
Wow. That's so
to your question, a lot of that stuff is just like by appointment, right? Often it's quite reactive. Something negative will happen in the media,
and they'll call you in,
and they'll be like, oh, hey, we know this guy does that,
and you'll come in
and discuss whatever it might be.
Does anyone ever unhappy with your messaging? Is there anyone that, like, it's all very positive, obviously, but
is there any... for sure. Like, as I've learned, when you put yourself out there, when you have a value set, when you have ideas which are political, you're always going to have your detractors.
Wow.
And people are going to misrepresent you, either intentionally or by mistake. We live in a soundbite culture, so someone might see like 2-minute clip of you and think that's all your concepts or ideas. There's very little room for nuance on social media.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure there are people
like, I feel like, with the news and everything, it's you just nailed it with the sound bites. Like, there'll be one little piece of news that gets, especially with social media, will just get shared and reshared and reshared, but in context, and it had a whole different meaning.
Entirely, and that's the problem with it.
Yeah.
You know, like, so yeah. I'm in regards to public speaking.
Yeah. How do you?
I've never had a school email me or a business email. You know,
Yeah.
I do some like workplace mental health discussions. I mean, like, that was terrible. You know, 0 stars. You know.
But how do you? I guess
But there have been people who are like, oh, when they'll take a moment to email you and be like, I disagreed with what you said about this and blah blah blah.
So interesting.
But that's fine. Like
we should be okay with that.
We should be cool with disagreement.
Yeah.
Everything I say, though, I make a point of like being referenced.
Yes.
It's not just my reckons.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, you're entitled to disagree with that.
Yeah.
That might not line up with your lived experience or your belief system or your ideology. I'm speaking from my personal experience and B, like, this is what the literature says.
Yeah.
Right? So disagree what you like.
Yeah.
And we can agree to disagree as long as it's not ad hominem.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a real bummer now that we often see disagreement as like an attack.
Yes.
Or people think this, ergo bad person.
Yes.
Rather than just person with different belief system, you know?
That's super brave, though, to be able to own that, because I feel like, you know, growing up in our time, I feel like there is a bit of a people-pleasing behavior. And so then, the fact that you are so values-driven, you kind of know what you believe in and you're strong about it, and then you're okay to hear other people's opinions, and then you'll just give yours back, and then you're done with it.
Well, it did used to eat me up, particularly online.
Yeah.
Like, I've had some pretty unpleasant experiences online over, you know,
Is
the
that
course of my life.
What, people just commenting, not
well,
nice
it's
things,
a whole range of things, right? But I sit kind of in the middle of stuff, right? And I have to be able to talk with anyone and everyone. I don't care what your politics are or whatever. Yeah. And so I get it from everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like I just did this interview recently discussing what we call like the manosphere and masculinity, and I get like all these like quite unhealthy bro dudes calling me like a beta and blah 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 blah, or you know, a cuck or whatever it is, it like trying to diminish my masculinity or put me down. But on the other end of the spectrum, I've had people on the far progressive side of the discussion, you know, critique me over whatever it might be, right?
Wow,
and you just have to learn to come to peace with the fact that your job is not to be liked. Your job is to do your very best to deliver your message as honestly, authentically, and evidentially based as possible. Yeah. Right? And people can disagree about some of these things. There is room for subjectivity. Yeah. But
it's so interesting that you mentioned that you can like people can attack from both ends as well. And it's funny because they'll be attacking on totally different things.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, oh great, like not good enough for this side. You know, it's
totally.
It's quite amazing, and it just shows a polarization right now in opinions.
It's terrible. Like most people gravitate to some like center, right? Yeah. That's what's healthiest. Yes. I vaguely recall some like second year political science lecture where the professor discussed that the further we move away from central gravitation, the more likely we are to see political violence. Yes. And we are starting to see that in the United States and abroad, and like increasingly there's a risk of that here. Yeah. And regular people retreating from the public sphere, the public space. Why would you put your opinion out there, 100%. Your work out there, risk damaging your personal brand, for want of a better term, your company, you'll put your family at risk, or just get yelled at on the internet by a whole bunch of like angry, miserable strangers. Yeah. You know, and so increasingly as regular people retreat from where we discuss things, you just get the most extreme polarized.
And they don't care anyway.
Yeah,
that is
fighting.
Their brand.
They're just fighting. Yeah. Like for the sake of fighting, some people build their whole identity into these sorts of things, and it is like, if I zoom out, it does trouble me, right? Yeah. Like it does trouble me that we're incapable of seeing the humanity of one another anymore.
Hopefully it's a time, it's everything's cyclic, right? And hopefully we're in part of a cycle and we don't know what's coming, but hopefully it's going to kind of refix it.
I hope so.
Readjust. And I think that's what's so inspiring about you, is that you do constantly focus on how to live your own, like, best version of yourself. You know, how to like you take the different tools that you've been given throughout your life, and you just apply them to your own set of values, and you continue to strive towards that, and you just can't focus on everything else going on.
You can't, and you like you said, you can risk being a people pleaser. There's a really good writer called Gurwinder.
Okay.
I encourage people to check out. He's really thoughtful. I think he's English based, but he talks about like audience capture.
Yes.
You can just pander to your audience.
Yeah.
And say the things that are going to get you validated and liked, right? But you're not being authentic then. You know, I made a social media post about Charlie Kirk's assassination, you know? I don't agree with Charlie Kirk's politics or how he did his politics, but murdering someone because you disagree with them for whatever reason, that's wrong in front of his kids, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, like over 100 people quickly unfollowed me,
That's
right? Because they
just associated him
and because to show compassion for someone you might disagree with, even vehemently, they consider like a bad thing.
Yeah.
And that's troubling to me.
Yeah.
Because no matter what someone thinks, as long as they're not preaching actual violence or murder or, you know, like hard bigotry, like people should be able to debate, right? And if we retract from that, I think it's Sam Harris, you know, he says like, if we've given up on the idea that our words are how we change things, or we have letters as our weapons, right? Like we can talk about things or we can use physical violence.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I want to live in a world, in a society where we talk about things.
Yeah.
And that means having uncomfortable conversations and giving people who we don't like or who have ugly ideas the ability to talk. Yeah. But beat them with better ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I had to talk to young men about like being sexist.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's my actual paid work.
Yes.
And I've done that for a long time.
Yes.
Being sexist, what's porn teaching us? What's the music we're listening to teaching us about how to be a man?
Yeah.
What are the memes that you're laughing at? The stuff that your boys say?
Yeah.
If I'm just like if I just tell them don't look at this, don't say this, blah, 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 without explaining why and how and really getting into it and meeting them where they're at, that I'm not going to be effective at imparting new ideas or asking questions, right? Like exploring someone's belief system is way better than going to war with it. Because as soon as you attack someone, they get defensive.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And I used to be like that.
And they
like,
hold on to it even more.
In my very like D-grade like public life, like I used to be very...
Can't say that. That was tall poppy.
No, but I'm not like I'm not like a household name. I mean, in some circles, I'm sure you are. Oh, well, maybe in like nerdy anti-violence circles. But, you know, I did used to be very defensive. Yeah. And that's because I had a weak identity and a weak sense of self-esteem. Wow. And I felt like an attack on my ideas was an attack on me. Yes. And as I matured and grew and healed and worked on myself, like I was like, cool, you can disagree with my ideas. Yeah. Nah, I'm still cool. Yeah. We can even be friends, right? Yeah. But I did used to be very defensive and angry and argumentative and like other people. Yeah. You know, like you're a bad person for thinking this. I was what I'm describing now, right? Yeah. But I've learned that just doesn't work. All it does is create more more hurt, more disconnection, and we need more connection. Yeah.
I want to know about your name, Richie Hardcore. Tell me about Hardcore. What is that?
Yeah, so Hardcore is a whole music scene. Okay. My first public platform was a 95 BFM radio show called Viva La Hardcore.
Oh, yeah. Viva La Hardcore.
Yeah, I used to hang out with these older cool guys around the city when I was like a teenager. I think my friend Mike Hall, he was moving on from doing that show. It was like a late night show. It was like, hey, bro, you've always here. Do you want to take it over?
Amazing.
And I was like, I'd never like studied broadcast or anything. Yeah. I literally learned on the job at BFM.
Yeah, I feel like BFM is very, it's like allows for that. Yeah.
It allows for a lot of mistakes. Yeah. And that was super cool.
Nice.
And Hardcore was this whole community. Mm-hmm. So alongside Thai boxing and martial arts, like the hardcore scene was this really safe space for me. We would call it like a protective factor now. Okay. Like for a young person, because within hardcore was like the whole straight edge community. Straight edge is like this movement about rejecting alcohol and drugs as like being part of the counterculture. Yeah. And as a kid who grew up with a lot of, you know, like alcohol related harm, and then I went to high school and there's a lot of alcohol related harm and then drug related harm, and then I was like, oh wow, this is amazing, right?
You couldn't believe that
no one's peer pressuring
are like
me
rocking out, but they also have these like strong beliefs that almost conflict with what they look like.
Yeah, exactly. Like we were kind of like really straight in how we lived our lives, but there were these older guys with like tattoos and a cool style who were like relatable and like really good role models. Cool. And so I went to like New York City and like would go to like hardcore shows and hang out in clubs and blah blah blah.
So for anyone who doesn't know, so it's a subset of punk rock.
Exactly. And then it became my ring name as a fighter.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
these two things.
Yes.
And literally in Muay Thai,
Yeah.
you know, people call each other their nicknames.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
bros that I call Rebel or Psycho
Yes.
or whatever. And my friends would call me Hardcore
Wow.
to the point that I was like,
And is that because you were in the hardcore scene? Is that how it got stuck?
Yeah, I would play the music when I'd walk to the ring.
cool.
And my old fighting style when I was young, I was really aggressive.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yes, you're hardcore.
yeah. It's like, you know?
Wow.
And so it just became a thing. And
Yeah.
then I thought it'd be a good idea to change it.
Yeah.
And now I have to always explain it.
Okay, yeah. But it's very
that's
cool.
where it came from.
Yeah, I like it. And I love that music played such a big role in your life as well. It's so interesting how it's such a unique part of music. It's like a little community, I guess, that you found.
Like
it's a unique sound.
There's
and unique
literally like
beliefs.
you're right. Like the hardcore scene is like a global community.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
You could reach out. You go to any country and like
Bro.
find the hardcore club.
Dude, I've been to like see like
Wow.
Suicidal Tendencies playing like Chile
Cool.
or
Yeah.
you know, whatever it is. See band. I remember seeing this band Nueva Etica in like Buenos Aires, Argentina, and like
good.
you walk in and
Yeah.
you're like, hola, ¿qué tal? Like,
Yeah.
and everyone knows all these certain bands,
yeah,
and you just,
yeah.
you know, like,
That's so cool.
it is like cross cultural at its best.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Well, I like a bit of punk rock too, but not. I don't know any hardcore bands. So you
I'll
might have
send
to
you a
send me.
playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
But old school stuff like what do I like? A little bit of Rise Against and
Cool.
Melancholy.
They got a new album out.
Great. Oh yeah, a bit of old Green Day, the older stuff, Dookie album.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, that's good for running. I find it's my running music.
Me too.
Because it's got a good beat.
cadence
yeah,
to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, send me some music. I'll
I
see
will.
what I like.
I interviewed Tim from Rise Against a couple of
Oh,
times.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, last question. Are you smooth or crunchy?
I'm a crunchy
A
guy.
crunchy guy. Awesome. Well, I'm just gonna.
Oh, is this for me?
That's for you. Well, I'm gonna high five you with and see you out
Thank
the
you very
Smashing
much.
PBs. Thanks for listening to this episode of Smashing PBs, brought to you by 40 Thieves, New Zealand's best peanut butter for fueling every day and epic adventures. If this episode inspired you, please like, subscribe, and share with like-minded legends. Now go grab a jar of 40 Thieves from your local supermarket and start smashing PBs.